Good evening, and welcome to the Fortean Slip Daily, Weekly, Monthly, I don't know what the fuck we're going to call it. We're still going to call it the Daily Dose, and then just pretend. It's like the world of make-believe. We can do that, right, Fred? You do that with the kids all the time, right?
Oh yeah, make believe.
That's always fun.
It's a good world.
I got in touch with Fred earlier this week and I said, we should do a show about, and Fred went, telepathy.
Yep.
And I said,
That's exactly what I was thinking.
wow. It was a mind-blowing thing. But, no, seriously, I sent Fred the message. We weren't really sure where we wanted to go with it, and I've always tried to keep the show fairly organic, so I didn't want to try to, do this or break it down in that way.
Restrict it with rules.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of the idea of telepathy. In the same way that I think that we are spiritual beings. And right before the show, you and I were talking about twins.
Yep.
And how twins, even though they can be raised, so far apart, in different families, not knowing of each other, still be very, very similar, down to like naming their pets the same thing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I had brought up to you, the whole idea of harmonic resonance.
Yep.
And the idea that these two people are genetically the same person. So that on some level they're resonating or they're vibrating at the same rate. And I think that I go to this theory with ghosts as well. I think that I think that ghosts that people see on this planet are, ghosts trying to connect. I think it might be like a leftover image.
Yeah, it's residual.
Yeah, it just happens to...
It's an imprint.
Right, like we're doing these same things over and over and over and over and over again. Like every day I get up, I come downstairs, I make my coffee, I let the dogs out, I feed the dogs, I take the deaf dog upstairs, and then I situate the other two dogs, and I have a routine, and
there's comfort in that. Yeah.
Right, and we as people are very habitual, and over time, I think the vibrations of those things might imprint upon any area that you're in. Like we live over stone, we live over crystal, whatever it may be, or whatever things may in some way resonate to the same frequency.
Well, that's the thing. Like we use, like with computer chips and all that. Like they got crystals and like gold plate, or I mean, it's much more complicated than that. But those organic materials, like maybe they do sort of harvest or store that residual energy. And I don't know if there's like a link, or maybe you have to encounter it in a certain emotional state to trigger that. But. It's interesting. Like, I don't know if rocks can be telepathic or what the equivalent would be, but maybe they can store that type of energy. Maybe that's how we see those.
There are people who do believe that quartz crystals, different types of stones, can be used to project thoughts or to enhance psychic abilities. And
for sure, yeah.
And I'll say for a while I don't know, I've practiced ritual magic and different types of what would be called New Age religions, and looked into a lot of different things. And I don't know that there's a lot of validity to it, but it's that whole idea of you have a symbol of something, and it's there to attune your mind to the idea of that symbol. And by using those things and willing these things and believing in these things and having faith in these things, that you're somehow changing your perception.
Yeah, you're making your own environment with your
Right.
own emotional state. Like,
So it goes. I don't want to say that there's some validity to that, but maybe there is.
maybe.
Maybe there is. But you and I, Fred, are huge comic book fans.
Yep.
I'm gonna wager a guess to say that we're both probably halfway decent X-Men fans.
Yep.
You've always said you're more of a DC guy than Marvel.
Yeah.
I always said, if you want good writing, go to DC. If you want
And that
cool
and
characters,
that's I agree.
go to Marvel. But in you know in
The Marvel package is visually much more alluring. My overall favorite is still the Hulk, even though I prefer DC, and Hulk is all Marvel.
but if you go X-Men, I think
Yep.
you've got you've got the heavy hitters for your
Yeah.
telepathic superheroes and supervillains.
They really play up on that too, like the different aspects of the telepathic, telekinesis, whatever you want, like with Professor X and Jean Grey and some of the others. Like, and it's neat because like a lot of times that at least I got the impression about the creators that were making these type of superpowered individuals. They weren't just throwaway characters. They weren't just trying to bleed off an idea. They were actually trying to invent something. And it's weird because you see it in like scientists where, people think about it and like it actually seems maybe not practical and realistic, but hypothetically, if you could do some of the things that Charles Xavier could do mentally, I mean, the limits would be, wow.
Well, now
Boundless.
look at the technology that we have today. You have
Yep.
people who are getting prosthetic arms that are
Yeah.
mechanical, that are hooked up to sensors that are going to be placed on their head.
Yep.
Similar in fashion to fucking Cerebro.
Well, it still blows my mind that like an amputee, for lack of a better word, like the stump or their amputated part. I mean, like I remember being young, and even now, like when you see them place a prosthetic on, and how there's sensors that indicate the electromagnetic pulse, and that's how they move the joints and the artificial knuckles just simply by thinking, and it's a pathway that goes down, and it's to simulate the real arm.
Yeah,
Like
and
that's insane stuff.
that we've gotten to a point where we can take thought and make it control a machine. So,
Yep.
is it a stretch? I mean, is it a stretch to say that someone could use thought to control a person or to speak to a
Maybe
person?
already happened.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it
Well,
has already happened.
and here's the weird thing of like the thoughts that I think. Like, I mean, like you and I, like we're conversing in the real world right now. We're talking. We're exchanging words. I'm hearing them. They're going in my head. I'm processing them, and then back and forth, yada yada. If at any moment I were to dive into your head, like if I had that ability or somebody else's ability, like I mean, you would have to have some sort of I don't know, some sort of training ability, but like I imagine like it'd be kind of weird. It wouldn't be as easy as picking out certain thoughts. You know what I mean? We're all like, even right now, I'm talking to you, but I'm looking at my keyboard and other things, the wood grain, like our thoughts would be jumbled. I'm just wondering, like, if a telepath, they would have to have some sort of precognitive ability to sort and analyze.
Well, I don't obviously, I think if there was somebody of high level, or if this was readily common, of a high ability, that we would notice it. That on some level
I,
people would notice it. Maybe not. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe these people would be able to hide really well. I don't know, and we're just
True.
speculating at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
it's complete fucking speculation.
Oh yeah.
But I do think that on some level there is the possibility of these things. Now
Well.
maybe it's all just coincidence. You know, all
Mhm.
these things where, you know, I'm thinking something and then somebody says it, or I'm thinking something and then someone sends me a fucking text message, or
Yeah, deja vu and all that
yeah,
stuff.
you know, maybe
Yeah.
it's coincidence, but maybe there's a percentage of the time that it isn't. And that's what fascinates me about it. And of course, you know, like I said, you and I, huge comic book fans, you know,
Yep.
liking that genre and that idea that there could be people that could do this, and that maybe it's a trainable ability.
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, sometimes ride on the public transportation, the bus. You see somebody that's sitting over there, and you wonder, what is that person thinking? What would I be able to do if I could, fall into their mind and read their thoughts, or vice versa. Sometimes, like, I even like scream in my head to see if anybody turns around, to see if they're listening to my thoughts, and weird trickery like that. But like, it's weird because maybe somebody has evolved, or the species of human has evolved to have that ability. I don't know. But what you said earlier, I think there's more likely a chance that we're going to see some sort of artificial telepathy. Like, I don't know if it's through computers or through using some sort of technology to enhance a human's ability to extract thoughts from somebody else, or read somebody's emotions in a way. But it's definitely possible, because a computer just breaks that stuff down into numbers and sequences.
Yeah, I think in that capacity it's going to happen. In a technological capacity,
Yeah,
telepathy is going to happen.
yeah, yeah.
People are going to be able to think things. It's going to be able to be transmitted through the internet. Um, I wonder where that's going to take us. Because eventually your thoughts are going to be able to be read.
And fuck cell
If
phones.
that's the case, if your thoughts
Yeah.
are being read, and that comes down to like thought policing. You know, like we're
Ooh,
already
yeah.
police.
Minority Report.
Yeah, well, we're already policing people for political correctness. I'm sure you deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you deal with it in Canada. We deal with it here in the
Every
United
day.
States.
Yep. Oh yeah.
It's different. I know that you deal with different things there than we deal with here, but it's all basically this.
Subtle.
It's all basically the same bullshit.
Yep.
But
Yep.
eventually, it's going to come down to if we break down these barriers and people start using this technology, and our thoughts are being basically everybody's seeing what everybody else can think. It breaks down all the walls, but then you get down to, like I said, the thought policing and the idea of, okay, well, you know, now we can see what this person is thinking. Well, what is that? How do we do this? How do we deal with this? Where do we go with this?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and like the moral implications, like, just because you think a thing doesn't necessarily mean that that is a thing that you are going to act upon. I
right?
mean,
You and I,
we all have impulsive thoughts.
yeah, you and I was just gonna say, you and I both know that there are times when you can't help but think things, even if you don't want to.
Oh no, yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah, there are certain times, there are certain things. The human mind works in such ways that we, yes, do we control it? Sure, but are there
Mm-hmm.
times when it kind of, you know, takes the wheel? It fucking
Oh
happens
yeah.
quite a bit.
Yep. A
So
strenuous circumstance, the wrong social atmosphere,
yeah,
any kind of weird situation.
anxiety.
Yeah, that's a good one that plays on it.
Yeah, and it can completely fuck you up. So
Yep.
I think, like we were saying, in a technological standpoint, telepathy is going to happen. Like,
Some form of it, and like I definitely think that like we might have an idea of how it'll come about or what it'll be and our understanding of it, but I don't think the nomenclature and the wording and all that, like there's going to be like a whole bunch of spin doctrine on it, and like we probably won't see the classic telepathy that we're thinking. Different veins of it, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. But it's definitely it's interesting. Like just the ability to, man, I can't even imagine how that would be like in Greek mythology, the Pandora's box.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
mean,
Oh,
you
fuck
just
yeah.
literally open up a can of worms. Like, I mean, like you get me on a bad Tuesday and you're going to think I'm Charlie Manson himself.
Now
You know what I mean?
but think about this. Think about having everything that you've ever thought about and everything that
Mm-hmm.
you've ever wanted or desired or feared or whatnot being laid bare for for, let's say, your wife. Forget about anybody else.
Yeah.
Imagine just that. Now, I'm fairly honest.
Yeah.
I'm fucking up front. There's very little
Same
I
here.
keep to myself, like, fucking random shit.
Yeah.
I like to fucking let it all out. I like to, I don't know how you are with your wife,
I'm
but
pretty much in the same place. Like, I don't, if a situation like that happened, I mean, there might be a few bumps, but I don't think anything too drastic. I think
but
both of
but
us
but
would be able
but
to,
imagine that though, Fred. You
yeah.
know, having that laid
Well,
bare. Now imagine that for the whole world.
yeah, like people in different positions that maybe not in as like it's more precarious. They've only just started developing the relationship. They've only started just developing themselves as a human.
And now corporations are basing how they hire you on how you think.
Yeah, and that is crazy. And then like, well, take into account learning disabilities or learning like people that have an inability to learn, like most of us, like dyslexia, autism, whatever you want to call the different ones that they have. Like how do you classify that? Like what kind of it's just weird. The human mind, like it's very complex.
Yeah, and
I think honestly, like Pandora's box,
I
but
think
like
you're
I mean, we're not
absolutely, you
even
hit
gonna
the nail
know.
right on the fucking head
Yeah,
with that. That is,
yeah,
it's a Pandora's box situation where you
yep.
lay bare the thoughts and the feelings of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Once that happens, once that barrier is broken down,
Yep.
it's a veritable fucking Pandora's box. And like I said, it allows for that weird policing. And do I think it'll
Yeah.
be, the type of policing, like I said, that is it gonna organize people into cliques because of how people think? Is it gonna make it so that we're just this dull society of people who only think a certain way because that's where it's gonna push us? What's gonna happen?
And that's the thing. Like it could branch off into a billion different areas, a billion different ways, and a lot of it, like it depends, because like you always get the impression that there's some sort of uh, bad guy in the background, multi-millionaire who's pulling the strings
The
and is going to
Bilderberger Group?
benefit from something. The you said it, yeah. Screaming at the giant owl as they make their sacrifice to care. Whatever you want to call it, like people in power. It's weird because like I say, like it would really just Tango and Cash foobar up the whole place. Like everything would be turned around. People that you think are one way might turn out to be mentally another way.
Yeah.
And maybe it would be a good thing. Maybe it would be a good thing for us, those that live in the moment, the transition. It would be hell on earth because we're having all our deepest thoughts bared. But maybe for the generations that came, like having that kind of openness, like maybe that would be a freedom in itself. I don't know. But it sounds pretty damn scary. It sounds a lot like 1984. It sounds a
It
lot like some
does.
crazy. Yeah.
But I've in a way you're right. In some ways it might be good, and in some ways it's going to be bad. All technology and all advances forward are. But
Yep.
I think one of the major problems that we have as human beings is we're uptight. We're way too
Yeah.
uptight
And
about shit. We let too many things that shouldn't bother us fucking bother us. And it's
but
because of the way that we've been raised societally. And
yeah,
listen, we all come into this world naked. Just
we do.
fucking bulky, bare ass naked. Underneath all of our
Covered in
clothes,
slime.
we're fucking
Yep.
naked.
We are.
And we revolt, or a lot of people revolt at the idea of that. The idea of any type of nakedness, it's considered pornographic. And especially in this country, I know. In other places, it's not.
No,
And
and it's weird because saw a post there the other day. Breastfeeding mother, and then three fairly attractive young women in bikini tops, and they're like, if you find one offensive, you shouldn't find the other. Blah blah blah. And like I'm like, it's that's an odd position to take. For me, I don't find either one offensive. I mean, in the right context, the right time and place, both are equally acceptable.
but I think there's
Uh,
a lot
I
of things about like sexuality and
Yeah,
the differences between male and female sexuality, and it if you break down a lot of those barriers, maybe in some ways that those things will be good. But this, like I said,
yeah,
this type of technology is going to come whether we like it or not. Like the
oh
idea of
yeah,
it, they've already done experiments with it where they've successfully transmitted thought, in bit form, uh, over across the internet. So they've made this the baby steps, if you will,
yep.
towards this ultimate fucking goal of being able to put on a fucking helmet and you can just transmit your thought across the fucking internet. You wouldn't even have to speak, or across whatever, fiber optic cables,
Mhm.
fucking, whatever it may be. But like I said, this shit's coming.
Well,
What?
and I guarantee you, like, as weird as it is for my father to sit at a dining room table and watch my children and my grandson, as my children are interacting with cell phones and my grandson is interacting with a tablet. The look that he has, it's like, wow. I mean, I can't even. When I was a kid, taffy candy and walking 10 miles to get to the store, and that was a reality. And for you and I, like, we are eventually going to be that man in the chair looking across at that generation at whatever their technology is. And it's not going to be cell phones. It's not going to be what we have right now. It's going to be some crazy far out shit. And it's going to definitely be in the realm of telepathic communication. Like, it's going to have that ability to interact, like you said, hands free. You don't have to, you just think, you blink,
Yeah.
boom.
You
I
won't
want to
have
watch porn. Click.
you won't have to fucking watch it. You won't have to use a mouse anymore. You won't.
Yep.
It's all.
Everyone's gonna look like they got Tourette's syndrome because they're gonna be like blinking away the spam and shit. Ah, it was terrible. I'm sorry to all those that suffer with Tourette's. That was a bad joke.
Oh shit! I
No, it's bad enough walking downtown and hearing people talk with their headless or their wireless phones. Like, I'm thinking they're talking to me, but they're having a conversation
yeah,
with
that'll
whoever they're.
be a little better.
It is weird, but like it's going to be crazy whatever they have in the future.
Yeah. On that
Hey,
Fred, I think we beat the shit out of this one.
Telepathy oh man, I can't believe I mispronounced it. Telepathy is dead. We have crushed it.
This has been the telephone, telefriend, telepathy episode of the Fortean Slip Daily Dose. If you like this shit, hit the like button. If you don't, hit the little thumbs down button. Leave a comment. Don't leave a comment. Well, we prefer you do leave a comment. Leave a shitty comment. Leave a good comment. We don't really give a fuck. Subscribe. Check out Fred's artwork at youtube.com/DeredFun. The link is at the bottom. And as always, go to the forteanslip.blogspot.com and check out all of the wacky and crazy shit there.